Welcome to EPG Pathshala. Today in this module we are going to talk about ecology and public health. This is the first part of 3 modules that we would do on ecology and public health and the relationship between the two. Science and technology have produced many of the astonishing gains in health and longevity over the past century. At the same time, our industrialized, carbon dependent societies are producing large scale environmental changes such as global warming, which will undermine many of those advances. Many people fear that climate change is the biggest health threat of the 21st century. Moreover, it is people who are socially, economically, culturally, politically and institutionally marginalized who are disproportionately affected by climate change, although they have done little or nothing to produce it. What does a sociologist need to know about climate change? Sociologists play a very valuable role by asking questions that are often overlooked in a climate change research. What are the driving forces of climate change? What is the role of ideology, large-scale institutional processes, or the spread of status consumption? Why and how is the science of climate change contested? How is the climate skepticism and climate denial developed and promoted through the media? How effective are social movements in creating policy? In short, efforts to address climate change are unlikely to succeed without the understanding of the human behavior and societal dynamics that sociology offers. This module will help students to understand the basic science of climate change and its effects on human health. By the end of this module, students would be able to know how to define climate change. They would be able to describe the scientific evidence for anthropogenic climate change. They would be able to describe the current and projected health effects of climate change. They would also be able to describe the ways in which climate change exacerbates health inequity, and they would describe adaptation and mitigation strategies vis-a-vis climate change. What is climate change? The scientific evidence for anthropogenic climate change has been established with increasing precision, and there are widespread concerns about its potential to undermine the public health gains of the past century. Human lifestyles have produced unprecedented changes to global and local ecosystems and a burgeoning epidemic of chronic illness. Climate is often defined as the average weather over a period of time. It is usually calculated from the mean and variability of temperature, precipitation and wind over a 30-year period. The Earth's climate varies naturally over time, but when we talk about climate change, we generally mean changes which are anthropogenic, that is caused by humans, and which result in an increase of average global temperatures above and beyond the normal variation of the Earth's geological history. Climate change is caused by the accumulation of gases in the atmosphere, which prevents the sun's heat from radiating back into space. These gases include carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide and ozone, among others. They are more effective at warming the earth than others, and some can remain in the atmosphere for hundreds or even thousands of years. In this module, we will focus on carbon dioxide because it is the primary human created contributor to global warming. Unleashing the stored energy of carbon. The amount of carbon on the earth and in atmosphere is fixed and constantly moving between living and non-living things. Through photosynthesis, plants take CO2 out of the atmosphere and releases oxygen. This CO2, carbon dioxide, is converted into carbon compounds and stored. Animals absorb carbon by eating plants. Animals breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, which is then becomes available for plants to use in photosynthesis. When plants die and decompose, the carbon is released into the atmosphere or stored in the soil. For much of Earth's history, large amounts of carbon have been locked up in fossil fuels, coal, oil and gas, which are the remnants of organic matter that lived millions of years ago. the Industrial Revolution unlocked the enormous explosive energy stored in these fossil fuels. We harness this energy to improve our health, particularly in industrial nations, by developing infrastructure, goods production and transportation. We use this to access clean drinking water, for food, electricity for homes and workplaces, etc. We also used energy to power transport and machines to make our lives easier, reducing the amount of personal energy we use for work and travel. This high carbon lifestyle today, in which energy from fossil fuels replaces the human energy powered by food, is part of what is called quote unquote development. Burning fossil fuels has released carbon compounds into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases at a much faster rate than they would have been released naturally. Other human processes such as clearing large areas of forest for agriculture or settlements has reduced the earth's capacity to store carbon or carbon sinks. We are beginning to realize the need for a more sustainable model of development, building societies that can meet the needs of the current generation without impairing the capacity of future generations to look after their own needs. Activity first. All animals, including humans, need access to basic resources like oxygen, water, food and a habitable climate. When these resources are scarce, we are often willing to fight for them. Most wars, although they are often masked by issues of religion or politics, are actually the result of groups of people struggling to obtain or maintain access to natural resources such as agricultural land, fresh water, oil, coal and natural gas. The combination of a growing population, rising consumer expectations and an unstable climate is likely to exacerbate the frequency and intensity of conflicts over resources. In addition to civilian deaths and displacement, wars destroy infrastructure that can take decades to replace, and population health deteriorates rapidly when food, water and electricity supplies are interrupted. Make a list of resources that people are willing to fight for. Look up situations in which conflict has occurred over resource scarcity. Some possible responses that can come out of this activity would be that the Romans fought the Punic Wars between 264 to 146 before Christ to gain control of grain production in the fertile valleys of North Africa, Sardinia and Corsica. Hitler justified his 1939 invasion of Poland, for example, as providing living room for the German people. Saddam Hussein's 1990 invasion of Kuwait was precipitated by a battle over ownership of an oil field. Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea may be seen as an attempt to gain control over the breadbasket of the Soviet Union. A chain of remote energy-rich islands known as Senkaku in Japan and Diaoyu in China are subject of an escalating territorial dispute. Is climate change happening? The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that is IPCC, has been monitoring scientific research on global temperature change since 1988. The 2014 report concludes that the average temperature of Earth's surface has risen by 0.6 degrees centigrade since the late 1800s and is expected to increase by a minimum of 1.4 degrees centigrade by the year 2100. This increase is larger than any century-long trend in the past 10,000 years and is primarily due to human activity or what is called anthropogenic explanations. In a worst case scenario, it may rise even by over 4 degrees centigrade, an increase that would make it difficult for large-scale human civilizations to survive. How do we know this? Since the 1950s, scientists have measured increases in concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Temperature data collected from ancient sources like fossil records, pollen counts in ancient bogs, isotopes of oxygen and hydrogen in ice cores show a strong correlation between temperature and atmospheric carbon dioxide over the last 4,20,000 years. They also show that for the majority of this time, the earth was much colder with occasional interglacial periods lasting about 10,000 to 30,000 years. Temperature data from tree rings, ship's logs, and meteorological stations show that the planet has warmed about 1 degree centigrade over the past 150 years. Over the past 50 years, there has been an exponential rise in the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Current levels of carbon dioxide exceed any measured even in the oldest ice cores. In short, carbon dioxide levels are now higher than at any time in the history of Homo sapiens life on the planet. A rise in global temperature of more than 4 degrees centigrade would have a catastrophic effect on current ecological cycles, partly due to tipping points in the climate system. Normally, equilibria are maintained by negative feedback cycles, where a shift in one direction, that is an increase in temperature or acidity, triggers mechanisms that oppose the change, that is reduced temperature or acidity. A tipping point occurs when a change triggers a positive feedback cycle. A small change in one direction triggers further changes in the same direction. An example of a positive feedback is that increasing global temperatures triggers permafrost melting and the release of large amounts of methane stored in tundra. Methane is a greenhouse gas 20 times more potent than CO2, and its release would trigger rapid further warming. Tipping point models are complex and difficult to predict with mathematical models, hence the critical levels at which they occur are usually unclear. Further examples of climate tipping points include the melting of the Greenland ice sheet, dieback of Amazon rainforest, and the shift of the West African monsoon. Think about why these changes could eventually trigger a tipping point. The next question that comes to mind when we talk about climate change is it really caused by human activity? The term anthropogenic climate change refers to the proportion of global warming which is due to human activity. Scientists have accepted that human activity is the major cause of the current level of global warming. Population growth, urbanization, and demand for transportation, electricity, and processed goods are the main drivers. Nearly 500 billion tons of carbon-based fossil fuels have been turned to drive our current lifestyles. Coupled with deforestation for agriculture and building, the burning of fossil fuels by humans has transformed planetary ecosystem. See figure 2, add image. Between 1959 and 2008, about 43% of each year's carbon dioxide emissions remained in the atmosphere, while 57% was absorbed naturally into land and ocean carbon sinks. The proportion of carbon dioxide emissions removed from the atmosphere decreased over the period from about 60% to 55%. Models which try to measure carbon cycles and climate change suggests that this trend was caused by a decrease in the uptake of carbon dioxide by carbon sinks due to climate change and variability, and that this was generated through anthropogenic activities. Activity 2. We are producing carbon dioxide faster than the earth can absorb it. We can address this problem by accessing renewable energy sources like solar power, wind power, or tidal power, reducing the amount of energy that we use, that is consume fewer material goods and travel less, or using energy more efficiently, that is insulating houses or growing food closer to where it is consumed. Which of these options do you think should be prioritized? How feasible is each option? Think about practical, social and political issues. Discuss your ideas and give examples to support your arguments. Third, adaptation and mitigation strategies. Greenhouse gases that have accumulated in the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution have already caused the Earth to warm by 0.8 degrees centigrade more than it would have naturally. Some scientific models suggest that global warming can still be kept at a level that we might be able to manage with the increase of 2 degrees centigrade with immediate and substantial reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. Other models predict that keeping the temperature rise below 2 degrees centigrade is unlikely or impossible. Preparing for the changes that result from global warming is called climate change adaptation. Adaptation measures include building heat wave warning systems and defenses to protect land from flooding and sea level rise, developing new agricultural crops for altered climates, and improving living conditions and livelihood prospect for climate refugees. But in addition to managing changes that we cannot prevent, we must try to prevent a level of climate change that we cannot manage. Climate change mitigation, that is what is called climate change mitigation. International proposals for climate change mitigation include reducing the quantity of fossil fuels burnt and protecting forests which absorb carbon. Mitigation policies can seem expensive until the cost savings of a reduced level of climate change adaptations are included. In addition, many climate impacts such as the loss of human lives, the loss of cultural heritage and damage to ecosystem services are difficult to value and monetize. Implementing effective adaptation and mitigation practices require the involvement of many sectors, including healthcare. Sustainable development addresses the environmental, social and economic dimensions involved in the transition into sustainable societies and communities. Activity 3. Identifying who is responsible for climate change. National governments have traditionally had 3 roles, that is protecting the country from invasion, maintaining order within the country and raising revenue. Over the last century, the role of a nation state has expanded to include developing national infrastructure, providing social welfare and supporting economic growth. What is a country's responsibility with regard to global environmental changes? This activity encourages you to think about factors which influence whether national government supports international commitments on preventing climate change. Make a table with 2 columns. In the left hand column, make a list of reasons why a government may act to reduce climate change. In the right hand column, make a list of reasons why they may not want to act. You may want to find out what actions are being taken by your government. You could also consider the differences between the democratic and authoritarian forms of government at the end of this activity. Reasons to take action. On your left hand side, in this column, there are concerns for long-term economic or environmental sustainability of the country, desire to position country at the forefront of new technologies by subsidizing sustainable energy, and response to popular demand. On the right hand side of your column, there are reasons to avoid action, which is that there may be a scenario where fossil fuels are cheaply available in your nation state. There might be a situation where no domestic alternative to fossil fuels exists, or a pre-existing commitment to fossil fuel subsidy is already shown by your government, or there could be response to pressure from corporate interests. Fourth, health and climate change. The worldwide burden of ill health due to climate change is not well quantified, but conservative estimates suggest that global warming already causes 2 lakh premature deaths every year. Over 85% of climate change related deaths occur in low income countries, predominantly in sub-Saharan Africa and South Africa, and in children under the age of 5. Until mid-century, climate change is expected to exacerbate existing health problems and extend the range of vectors. Climate change is expected to exacerbate existing health problems and extend the range of vector and waterborne disease into new areas. Even in rich countries, there is considerable evidence to suggest that preparation is needed to minimize climate change related harms. For example, elevated temperatures in the 2003 European heat wave resulted in over 30,000 heat related deaths, and flooding has caused billions of dollars of damage and significant loss of life. Vulnerable populations, children, elderly people, those living in poverty, people living in certain geographical areas, and people with underlying health conditions are at even greater health risk from climate change. There are three ways in which climate change is expected to affect health. See Table 1. Health effects of climate change. Short-term direct risk category. There are two mechanisms of this: heat waves and extreme weather events like floods and storms. What are the health impact of heat waves? Heat stress and dehydration make deaths from heat stroke, cardiac disease, respiratory conditions and diabetes more likely. Risk is highest in children, the aged and the manual workers. Extreme weather events, and what are the health impacts of that? Compromised water sanitation due to damaged water systems and runoff from farms, causing increases in infectious disease such as malaria, cholera and other gastrointestinal infections. Longer term direct risks category includes air quality, and what are the health impacts of the change to air quality when the air quality becomes negative. Greenhouse gases such as ozone and the airborne pollutants associated with fossil fuel combustion contribute to an array of respiratory and cardiovascular disease through inflammation of the airways. Airborne ash from drought related wildfires contributing to a rise in asthma. Higher levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide acts as a fertilizer for plant growth. Temperature changes are expected to initiate earlier and longer lasting allergy seasons and a change in the distribution of allergenic plant varieties. Individuals, reduction in food yield, migration and conflict, infections and vector-borne disease and mental health. Reduction in food yield, and what are the health impact of this? Sea level rise and changes in rainfall patterns reduce crop yields and increases prices. Malnutrition increases susceptibility to infectious disease, growth stunting and impaired educational attainment. Migration and conflict and the health impacts that result from this. Forced displacement has more adverse health impacts than voluntary or planned resettlement. These include undernutrition, food and waterborne diseases, sexually transmitted diseases, diseases due to overcrowding like measles, meningitis, acute respiratory infections, etc., maternal mortality and mental illness, infectious and waterborne disease. And what are the health impact of this? Changes in climate make environments more favorable to human pathogens, allowing more infections and allowing for changes in the distribution of disease vectors. Mental health. Psychiatric trauma due to conflict, post-migration and extreme weather events includes post-traumatic stress disorder, generalized anxiety, depression, aggression, suicide, somatoform disorders and substances use. There are immediate and direct risks from injury, disease and death due to extreme weather events such as heat waves, storms and flooding. The longer term risks include those posed by changes to air quality, that is increased concentration of ground level ozone inflamed airways making acute exacerbation of asthma and emphysema more likely, and air pollution is associated with increased risk of stroke and heart attack. Indirect risks arise from changes and disruptions to ecological and biophysical systems affecting food yields, the production of aeroallergens, that is spores and pollens, bacterial growth rates, the range and activity of disease vectors such as mosquitoes, and water flows and quality. The indirect effects of climate change will cause the greatest number of disability adjusted life years and deaths, but may be less noticeable because they occur slowly, follow complex and causal pathways, and occur in poorer countries with less robust record keeping. Health inequity. The health impacts of climate change are unevenly distributed. Disadvantaged communities are not only the most likely to be exposed to climate related health threats, they also are more likely to become unwell as a result. That is, they exhibit higher vulnerability to climate change and have the least resort to respond to climate change impacted illnesses. The risk of weather related natural disorders is almost 80 times higher in low income countries than in high income countries. More than half of urban dwellers in Africa and Asia lack access to adequate water and sanitation, and 1 billion people in poor countries live in slums. Meanwhile, the richer countries have used fossil fuel energy to improve nutrition and sanitation, build up infrastructure and combat infectious disease. Within countries, it is poorer members of society who are more likely to lack access to clean water, sanitation and healthcare, more likely to experience adverse working conditions during periods of excess urban health, and more likely to go hungry when food prices rise due to climate change. The poorest 1 billion people in the world produce only 3% of global carbon emissions. The illness burden therefore overwhelmingly falls on those who have contributed least to the problem of climate change. Climate change and food production. The production and transportation of food is essential in a world where the population is set to reach 9 billion people by 2050. Malnutrition has a range of impacts. Moderate effects include stunted growth and impaired brain development. In extreme cases, children die from a combination of starvation and immunosuppression. On a population level, conflict is more likely when groups of people compete for food and arable land or are forced to migrate to look for better prospects elsewhere. Figure X shows how a fall in crop yield can lead to rise in global food prices. In rich countries, consumers have to spend an increased proportion of income on food. In the world's poorest countries, more people go hungry because incomes are already insufficient to purchase an adequate range of nutrition. Food crop yield is sensitive to both high temperature and extreme weather. In earlier scientific models, it was suggested that while some agricultural areas would see a significant decrease in food production due to heat waves and drought, others, especially in global north, might benefit from warmer weather and a longer growing season. Now, however, it is expected that any benefit of a longer summer will be reversed by the effects of irregular weather, in particular prolonged rainstorms alternating with dry weather. Case study on unaffordable food. In 2007, a pediatrician in a university town of North India, serving a large, mostly rural population, admitted a 2-year-old boy with gastroenteritis, severe dehydration and severe malnutrition. His parents were subsistence farmers. The boy and his mother had travelled 8 hours to reach the ward after selling livestock to pay for the bus and taxi fare to reach the hospital. The boy's father had remained at home to look after the crops and the boy's 2 siblings. The boy was treated with an IV fluid, but because his heart was weakened by malnourishment, the fluids pushed him into acute heart failure. He died within a few hours of reaching the ward. Children suffering chronic malnutrition have poorly functioning immune systems. They are prone to infections, and the biggest killer is acute gastroenteritis. In some rural clinics, 50% of the children meet the WHO criteria for moderate malnutrition. The staff noted that the admissions with malnutrition had increased between 2006 and 2007. During the same period, world cereal prices increased by 34%. By 2007, parents could only afford to buy 2/3 of the food they had previously been able to purchase. Food prices peaked in mid-2008 at 250% of January 2006 prices. The price spike was due to several factors, including rising oil prices, which affect the cost of mechanized production, the use of cereals to create biofuels, turning food into petrol, and market speculations. In addition, a massive drought-related crop failure is attributed to changing weather conditions, which are predicted in climate change models. Some questions to ponder upon: dependence of human health on global and local ecological system, contribution of human activity and population size to environmental changes, mechanisms by environmental changes affect human health like disease vectors, extreme weather, food security, migration and war, co-benefits like features of a health promoting local environment and synergies between environmental sustainability and health promotion, like emphasizing on clean air, bringing active travel infrastructure, and creating more and more green spaces. For more information on climate change and health impacts, do look at a webinar on climate change, health impacts, opportunities, and policy responses on the YouTube channel. The URL is www.youtube.com/watch V is equal 3QX small t UI small ca 6 small r u. Thank you.